Hello, everyone. Lost a little bit of track of time there. Hope everyone is doing good today. So I'm just going to let me just do. There we go. Hope we'll have some people who will show up here. I have a notification on YouTube. Let's see what it is. I guess it's for a comment I left. Hope everyone's doing well. Yes, we're doing another stream today, and sorry if I seem a little behind, but I just took a power nap, and it felt really good. And you might be thinking, Britton, you're a bit too young for a power nap. To which I would say, shut your mouth. But glad to be here. Glad to be doing another stream. It was by popular vote. So, yes, because Samoki Dude is, from time to time, a democracy. So, yeah. Aslan is here. Hello, Aslan. How are you doing? How's your internship going? It's going really good, actually. I'm really enjoying it. I mean, the only downside is I have to get up early in the morning. I don't really like doing that. But aside from that, it's a very small thing. I'll admit. I am really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the people who work there. I like doing the stuff over there and hanging out with the people who work there. So thank you for asking. Um, Today, I finished my first official week of doing the radio station for my internship. So yeah, I am celebrating with a stream. So yeah, hopefully people will show up. I'm glad you showed up, Aslan. Um, just yeah, just doing a thing here. So yeah, just doing that. So let me check something real quick. Um, so yeah, Grifkin's here. Um, well, it is not a paid internship, unfortunately. Maybe they'll start paying me. I don't know, but it is only my first week, so I'm not really expecting anything. But I am being paid in experience. Ha ha ha. Okay, that was a bad joke. I'm really sorry. But yes, I'm just doing my thing here. Um, and yeah, learn a lot about the radio business. It's quite neat. Um, yeah, so I woke up this morning. I went over there and having me a good time. So yeah, hopefully again people will start showing up. Oh, please. Okay, 28 minutes ago, seeing it. What am I reading lately? Well, I am reading Tide Has Grown, so which is really good, but it's a bit dense. Blood in the Mist, which I'm kind of reading with my friend Robin from Only the Best Fantasy Novels, because this is his favorite fantasy novel. And I'm trying to knock out some of my pre-Tolkien reads that I wanted to do this year. this month before I do June on the Range, which is next month. And also, I'm hoping to finish Jeff Lemire's Animal Man before too long. So, yes, that's what I've been reading recently. Um, I'm really liking Blood in the Mist. There's a weird publication issue, a bit of a production screw up where like page 50 56 I think is where like page 100 something is supposed to be. It's really weird. But aside from that, I'm enjoying it. It's really, if you're a fan of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, I would definitely recommend this book as something to scratch that itch, if you will, because I really like Blood in the Mist. Blood in the Mist has a very similar style. It has that similar kind of British atmosphere and sense of humor and wryness that a lot of people really liked in Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. And I guess that makes sense because I know a lot of people have said that Blood in the Mist is kind of a precursor to Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell in a lot of ways. So yeah, if you're a fan of that book, which is a fantastic book, I highly recommend it. I definitely would recommend picking Blood in the Mist up. I think um, it would definitely scratch a few itches. Um, yeah, so yeah, that's what I've been reading, and then after that, I'm going to be basically reading a bunch of westerns over the month of June because June on the Range is coming up, and I want to join in on that. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna do 3 major reads and then probably a reread of Charles Portis's um, True Grit. So yeah, Kale's here, and because he is in Australia, he's in Aussie land. It's the morning over there. He's in the future. So how's the future going, Kale? Hopefully well. Hopefully, flying cars are a thing. In Australia. I doubt it for whatever reason, but yeah, a man can dream, can he not? It's just telling people cold morning in Australia. Every time I see Australia, it looks like you walk outside for like a minute and you just start sweating your ass off. Um, I mean, I guess that's the stereotype, but yeah. So there you go. So yeah, I'm gonna take a drink of my Diet Coke. I also learned that Anna Smith Spark of well, that's a good point. I guess Kale really has it made. He has an electric blanket. He has sleeved. He has a blanket with sleeves. It's basically like a sweater. Jeez, that's um. Apparently, Anna Smith Spark is doing a Judge Dredd novel, but technically, it's not Judge Dredd. It's about Judge Anderson, Judge Death. Um, which is going to be kind of weird because they generally it's kind of like when you do a Batman novel or a novel about superheroes. I am so used to them as comic books that it's going to be a bit hard for me to think of them in novel form. And I also haven't read Anna Smith Spark yet. I would like to. She sounds like a writer who would really appeal to me as a reader, though I hear her stuff can get quite dark, a bit bleak, if you will. Um, so yeah, it's gonna be fun. Um, she has that very, I guess, British sensibility. I don't know. I don't know where to start. I don't know if any of you guys have read Anna Smith Spark, but if you'd like to recommend anything, if you have read uh Anna Smith Spark, feel free. I would like to read her at some point in the near future because I like dark fantasy, of course. Though, of course, they call it she calls it grim dark as well. So there you go. And apparently she used to be a fetish model, which I'm like, that's interesting. You know, I don't know what this means, but I guess that means like she dressed up as like a dominatrix or something. Okay, don't be silly. Don't be silly. That's I would say Judge Dredd is very darkly humorous. So yeah, I know you're being facetious though. What's my favorite dark fantasy? Well, I mean, my favorite novel is pretty dark fantasy. It's American Gods, so I'll go with that. But if you mean like macabre kind of fantasy, I don't know. Like if you mean like grim dark, probably a Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire, whatever you want to call it. I'm quite fond of what George R. R. Martin did, even if he hasn't finished the damn thing, because we can't all have nice things, unfortunately. As much as I wish we would, that's not the world we're in, sadly. We're in we're in a world that is not fair quite constantly. I had a dream the other night that S.A. Cosby passed away, and I was like, damn, it sucks. So, luckily it was just a dream, so that didn't happen. S.A. Cosby is not dead. So, yeah. Get out of here. But yes, that's my favorite dark fantasy is probably American Gods or A Game of Thrones. I also really like Elric quite a bit. It's pretty macabre fantasy. Then again, a lot of the fantasy I like is really dark. I like dark macabre stuff. If you didn't know already, so yeah, I like that kind of stuff. I like really just weird dark stuff. So Baz Lag comes to mind. The Dark Star trilogy, comes to mind. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. I see on Goodreads, Samwise is reading Son of the Black Sword by one Larry Correa. I hope he's enjoying it. Despite my thoughts that I think do you make a difference between dark and grimdark? Well, I think there are some differences, but I think like they do overlap, if you will. I generally think of oh, you stop it, Grifkin. I generally think I don't care for the term grimdark. I think it's kind of like I mean it started out as a pejorative, but um generally I like to call it gritty fantasy because that's kind of what it is. It's basically like, okay, let's make fantasy a more like grounded, if you will. So you get stuff like a Song of Ice and Fire and the First Law. Um the generally when I think of like gritty fantasy, I generally think of the magic being downplayed like a lot, and dark fantasy is more like macabre, um very like something like Elric, where it's really weird, but it's definitely fantastical. There's no doubt about that this is a fantasy world, where something like the First Law is kind of like this weird uh kind of world that seems could kind of be plausible. Also, hello Jason. I hope you saw my comment I left. It was a pretty big one on your My Dark Vanessa video. I really liked your review of that book. So, yeah, hope you saw it. It is a bit long. So if you didn't answer it cuz maybe you wanted to get to it later because it was a bit long, I get that. So, there you go. Last of Us, do you watch it? I stubbornly refused to watch it for a long time because I really don't think it needed an adaptation, to be honest with you. I think it was just, fine enough being left alone. Um, um, I did watch it though finally about a month ago, and I thought it was fine. There was some stuff I liked, and then there was some stuff I was like, game did it better, no doubt. I didn't I didn't hate it. And then I watched some of season 2 and I liked what I saw, but I was just kind of like, you know, again, I had some friends who were really trying to get me to watch it, and I was just again just stubbornly refused because, you know, there you go. Yeah, if you haven't played the game, um yeah, if you haven't played the game, um you might like the show a lot more. It was really hard for me to divorce the game from the show, even though I think the actors did some pretty solid work. Like, I think Pedro Pascal is a pretty good Joel, and Bella Ramsey was a solid Ellie, though she was kind of doing an Ashley Johnson impression at first, and then she kind of really found her own voice, I think, especially in season 2. But yeah, it's not the games. The games are just so I mean, even Last of Us Part 2, which I have some problems with, I do think it's a underappreciated game because a lot of people just didn't really seem to appreciate what Neil Druckmann and crew were trying to do. So there you go. Um, which, as a matter of fact, my friend Jason and I made 2 long conversations talking about The Last of Us video games. So if you want to watch those, they are around. That's an interesting take, Kale. That's interesting. I prefer part one. I think part one is a more cohesive story. I do think that part two has some pacing issues, but I do think that the general idea of the game is very sound. Like, there's a lot of people who don't like Abby, and I it's a thing I constantly get frustrated by in fandom is that there's not really a lot of nuance with them. They get so emotionally, you know, what's the word? They get so emotionally um they're not always great at thinking things through, if that makes sense, which, there you go. Um but yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's the scene where Joel is torturing the guys in the show. It almost looks like a fan film. It was embarrassing, actually. Like the game is just it's just better. It's just better. I don't think the show is that bad. Like, Jason made a video about a year back ripping on it, which, I'm not shocked. But you know, that's just kind of where it's just like, dude, it's just better. It's just better overall. I can't really, say it. Um I know a lot of people don't like Abby. I just got frustrated because it's just like, guys, this is why people make fun of fandoms all the time. It's just, and look, I get it. You get attached to characters, you get real emotional about this stuff, but, I mean, and you don't have to like the game. And there were people who were saying like they were like really like Abby, like they weren't like they were making Abby like not, like they were making her like a Mary Sue or something. I'm like, did you play the game? Because there are several points throughout the game where her friends are like, this was a stupid idea. Now you've brought even more people to try and kill us while we're dealing with a fucking war. And, she kind of has to deal with that. And I do think it's interesting how Abby's journey relates to Joel's journey. Like literally, it's like if we had followed Abby from the first game and followed her experiences, we probably would have been fine with her killing Joel. I'm just saying. I know that's not really like a hot take or anything like that, but it was just really I understood Abby. I understood Abby. I understood where she was coming from. I don't know if I'd say I liked her necessarily, but I do think her arc was very well done. I do think that I do think it's interesting, and barely anyone paid attention to this, but I thought it was interesting how her journey in the second game really mirrored Joel's in the first. Like they're very much similar characters where like they can both be really selfish and they both make really destructive decisions because nothing else matters to them except for the people they love, which, not the best thing in the world, maybe, is, but I do think it's very human. I do think it's something that you could empathize with. And the fact that there were people who were actively refusing to at least engage with what Druckmann and crew were trying to convey, that, we're not all that different. I was very disappointed, which, is constantly something I deal with, because fandom is fucking stupid a lot of the time. And speaking of fucking stupid, apparently they're trying to split the second game into several seasons. Like, why? Why would you do that? Just, you could literally do the you could literally do the second game in a season. You did it with the first game. What are you doing? It's just, good lord. Yeah, so there's my slight rant about The Last of Us and why I'm constantly frustrated that we can't get good things in the world. Speaking of the world being a very disappointing place half of the time. Yes, I did watch Andor, and yeah, I think it's one of the strongest Star Wars. Um, um, Sure, yeah, I'm not saying the second game's like this, underappreciated masterpiece. Like I said, there's some pacing issues. And I do think I do agree with some of the people who thought that Druckmann was kind of laying it a little thick, that, oh, look, Abby got victimized by Joel. They're not all that different, whatever. I get that. But I do think what Druckmann and crew were doing, I do think was sound. I do think it was well done for the most part. So there you go. But going back to Andor, I liked Andor. I thought it was a solid. I thought it was good. It's definitely the most grounded Star Wars show that I've seen. And it's really fascinating because we get to see, like, how a rebellion happens, Like, you could say that, Star Wars Rebels kind of played with this concept a little bit, but I really find that, like, Andor felt more authentic to me because, generally revolutions tend to be a very violent, very contentious thing. And that's generally what happens with revolutions. It's kind of like what you see in Andor. They can't really agree on, they all agree something's wrong. I think the most realistic thing about Andor is that all of them can agree that something is wrong, but none of them can agree on how they are gonna sit around and fix it. I mean, when has that happened in history, right? Of course, America is a bit different because, we love to do things differently out here in America. But most of the time when revolutions happen, it happens a lot like it does in Andor. A lot of the time it's very disaffected, violent people who are pissed off and just want blood and don't really care who they hurt along the way. Not saying that the Empire is, like, secretly the good guys and they need to be stopped, and they don't need to be stopped, because they definitely do. But I like that Andor plays with that moral ambiguity that, yes, the Empire needs to be stopped, but you have to, like, cut pieces of yourself to um do that, in order to do that. Well, I guess that's one of the questions, is, do you have to cut out pieces of yourself to, you know, do revolution, to pull off a revolution? Also, they made the Empire terrifying in that show. Like, I mean, yes, it is run by cackling madmen like the Emperor, but you really see this kind of Kafka-esque bureaucratic nightmare, as a friend of mine put it. That's even scarier to me, because it's like, man, when you think of things like the Nazis, or Stalin's regime in Russia, it wasn't run by, these unhinged psychopaths. It was often run by people like Deidre, like Cyril, like the guy who played the creepy scientist in Game of Thrones. It's regular people who either are just completely oblivious to what they're doing is wrong, or they don't care. And I don't know which is scarier, to be honest with you. So there you go. But I wish more Star Wars stuff was like that. Um, but unfortunately, hasn't really gone down. Though I do think people are, again, because fandom is just freaking whiny. Um, that's like, stop being lazy. There's good Star Wars stuff out there, like the comics and the animated stuff. There's good Star Wars out there. Just, you just got to know where to look. So, yeah. I've actually been on a bit of a Star Wars kick recently. So it's funny you asked about Andor, Mac, because I've been on a bit of a Star Wars kick again recently. Yeah. You know what I don't get about Star Wars? You know what I don't get about Star Wars? Here's what I don't get about Star Wars. I don't get the people who are, ironically enough, fandom menacing the prequels, to borrow as something that Chris Stuckman said. Now, I'll note, I have a bit of a soft spot for prequels because I grew up watching them. So, I grew up in that generation. But I'm not going to pretend that's a good movie, you know? Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, that's like one of the points of Andor is that, it's often run by people who who might seem normal on the one hand, but also are often turn out to be these really just vicious, sadistic, um, power hungry people, which, of course is terrifying as well. Yeah, the zone of interest. I haven't seen the movie, but I know what you're talking about. I know it's about Nazi Germany, of course. Which that might not move people, but I don't get the gooning over the prequels. You know what? Actually, I'll back up. I do understand the gooning over the prequels because the sequels were so bad. It actually made the prequels look good. But make no mistake, people, the prequels are still not good movies. Like, the dialogue alone is just no. Badly acted, badly scripted. Um like it kind of illustrates, I think, the problems of George Lucas's style. The guy is really good at structure and he's good at plot. He's good at plotting things out. He's not good at the actual nuts and bolts of storytelling. He has a really bad ear for dialogue. Um and it's just he's not, and it made me learn that like George Lucas really does his best work when he's complemented by more talented people, like the Kasdans, like Dave Filoni. Though George Lucas, if I recall, didn't really do a lot on the Clone Wars. He did like he did give a lot of ideas that he didn't use for the prequels that they later used in the Clone Wars. But I do know that George kind of was hands off on the Clone Wars, which that helps because my God, like that's how the prequels should have been. And also, I think people goon over the prequels because the Clone Wars is so good. And if Jason is still here, yes, the Clone Wars is good. You're wrong. Um, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Hey, we officially got Darth Jar Jar in Fortnite recently, so that was pretty funny. I know there's people who legit believe that, and I just think that's hilarious. I mean, I've watched theory videos, and I'll admit they make pretty good points. I don't agree with them. I don't think that Jar Jar's a Sith Lord, but yeah, it's a funny theory. I enjoy it. Like I enjoy it as just this insane fan theory that people came up with. It's kind of like watching Room 238, which is about the Shining movie. So yeah, enough on my Star Wars rant. For now anyway. I never could get into Fortnite. I'm just not a fan of those big open world. Like same thing with Battlefield. I'm not a big fan of like big open world, Well, I am a big fan of open world, but I'm not a big fan of like those big like battle maps where you have to like run around for a while before you even. I'm very much into the meat of the combat. I like close quarters combat. So what do you will? What are you gonna say? But yeah, no, I enjoy. Also, some of the Star Wars novels are very good. I think Dark Disciple is a very good book. Uh, I won't pretend it's a masterpiece, but it's very good. It's very much kind of like an episode of the Clone Wars. A very good one, that is. So. Uh, Thank you, Helena. I appreciate the comment. I didn't really know how to react to this because I've always really I wouldn't say radio is my first love. My dad is a bit my dad is a bit more he really wanted to get into radio, but I thought it would be nice because he actually knew a guy, which is how I ended up getting the internship. That's funny. I actually thought like as a joke, I would say like my radio name would be like Wolfman Brit or something like that. Beatbox Brit. I like that. I like that. I've actually even been on the show a few times now, which is crazy. Yeah, it's part of the, but the one I'm on is for country music, which I'll admit I'm not the biggest fan of, at least modern country music. If we're talking like stuff like Johnny Cash or David Allan Coe, then all right, we can talk. But yeah. And what's funny is there's a road called Britain Road, and it's spelled exactly like my name, and that's where it's off of from. So the people I've been working with have kind of teased me a bit. They're like, "Oh, so your name's like the road we're at," and I'm like, "Yep." And it's all in good fun. They're fun people. I enjoy them. Yeah, I won't name them for privacy reasons, of course. I would love to visit the UK at some point. In all seriousness, I think that would be a really good time. I think it's definitely a place I've always wanted to go to. Hopefully soon I will. In the future I will, because I have friends who live out there, so I could definitely like you, Helena, definitely hopefully you guys didn't hear that. I'm just looking through Instagram real quick. Britton Stern. Yeah. We were actually talking the other day about how we can't curse on air, or we'll get fined. So made me think of Howard Stern, because I know that was his problem for a long time. He would get like fined, and he's like, "Fine, I'll do my own thing." And then that's how Howard Stern really became his name. Really, how he found his audience. Yes, it was beautiful music. Listening to Helen of Windhern, or I think is what it's called, the new Tom King series, with that really really gorgeous artwork from Bill Key. Yeah. So yeah, I've been reading a lot of. I was actually on a podcast last night with a guy named Jay from the Contemplative Reader. Maybe some of you have heard of him. He's a really cool guy. He's lived an interesting life, and we were talking the other night about how I'm reading a lot of these like English fantasy books at the moment. And basically in June, I'm going to be doing the exact opposite because I'm basically going to be reading a lot of cowboy books. I'm going to be reading a lot of books where people are cowboying. June on the Range. I'm really excited for it. I just need to. I'm thinking tomorrow after I get some stuff done with my dad with some stuff. I am hoping maybe I can pick up True Grit because I'm gonna try and reread True Grit for June on the Range. I'm looking forward to it. And also hoping to finish Titus Grown because my God, it's been slow going on Titus Grown. That would be cool. I mean, there are podcasts about that already on Spotify and whatnot. So I mean, that could definitely happen. It definitely would have to work up a little bit before I do something like that. It's also a very niche subject, so I was also watching Daniel Green's video today, a Daniel Green video where he had some authors come on and recommend some books, and heard what too. I watched Daniel Green the other day, or actually this morning, and oh well, what are you gonna do? What was I saying? Oh yeah, they were recommending some books, and I was kind of surprised. There were two people in a row who recommended Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. Made me think of you, Jason, because I know you like that book quite a bit. It's been weird ever since the whole debacle. Like, it's been weird watching Daniel Green. Like, it's not the same anymore. I mean, I know, like, he didn't, like, actually, suss on some, I know he actually didn't do, what he was accused of, but, like, it's kind of weird, though, at the same time, because, like, it's just not the same anymore. I mean, I haven't watched Daniel Green, like, frequently in a few years. I still subscribe because, obviously, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for him and like Brian Lee Durfee. But I really yeah, it's been kind of weird though. I watched one of his I watched his most recent fantasy news, and I was just like, something it just isn't the same, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just like my aghast and offended because he cheated on his girlfriend, which, I mean, that's wrong, of course, but I don't know. It's a weird thing at the moment. Yeah, I mean, he's still doing stuff. I mean, he is kind of slowly going back to like the book reviews, which I'm happy about because there was a while there where it just kind of seemed like he was chasing the algorithm. And then I think he got really burned out. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to go back and do the stuff I actually enjoy doing, which is, why people, found his channel in the first place, like myself. I mean, nothing wrong with fantasy news. I watch it from time to time, but yeah, I do think he was kind of, chasing the clout there for a little bit. Then there was the whole debacle with our dear friend NK, who I will not name for reasons. I mean, none of my business, I know, but it's just kind of this weird yeah, I know that's kind of a given when you do that for a living, but it's just kind of when you're like an old school Daniel Green fan like I am, who watched him initially because of the book reviews, and he was actually, quite articulate, and he still is. But yeah, it's just yeah, for a while there he was kind of just like pumping out content, for the sake of it. And I'm glad that he's going back to the book reviews because I do think he got burned out, Yeah, I mean, it's One Piece is, I actually watched the first episode of One Piece with a friend of mine the other day. That was another thing I was just stubbornly refusing to sit through because it's freaking long. But I watched the first episode of the live action One Piece, and I thought it was pretty good. It was entertaining. I enjoyed myself. Um, and am I gonna read the manga? Um, am I gonna read the manga? I don't know. I'm not making any promises to anybody, but I liked what I saw of the TV show. So, um, yeah, it does have some anime isms, which I don't, I generally am not the biggest fan of. I'm not a fan of of the like constant yelling. Like, oh my god, so much yelling, so much. Um, I'm quite fond of there are some anime I'm fond of, like Cowboy Bebop is my favorite anime of all time. And there's some movies like Spirited Away I really love. That's a just sublime entertainment. The Eternaut. Is that a show? I think I heard of that. I'm not planning on trying it anytime soon, but I might give it a crack, maybe. Um yeah. Which part of it do you enjoy the most? If you mean booktube, do you enjoy the book reviews or interview of other YouTubers? My favorite part of booktube is the collaborative videos. Book reviews I like doing, of course, but I sometimes get a bit nervous, and no one seems to tell, but I'm out of my freaking mind nervous when I do reviews. Um I do reviews. I like doing them, but I like a lot of the um I like talking to people though. I like talking with them about books. Those are some of my favorite parts of doing booktube. So like some of the conversations like Jason and I have had, or my friend Raph and I have had. It depends. It depends. But yes, talking to people I like quite a bit. That's probably my favorite part of booktube. I also really like a review where I think I am doing really good. So there's some reviews I think are quite good. Like I think my Broken Sword review I did about a month back, I think was very good. I was quite fond of that. You're too kind, Helena. Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know if I would go that deep into like entertainment, but that would be fun. Interviewing celebrities. Might tip me. Totally not spam, isn't it? I mean, well, maybe it's not. Who knows? Maybe it is. I have no idea. It does look. It does seem a bit legit. Um. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Uh, I'm not the. Uh, Hopefully soon. I would like to do Absolution and finish off our Southern Reach discussions. I did see his review of My Dark Vanessa, so I did think maybe I could get him on. We could talk about that a little bit. Because I think Jason came away with some really interesting insights. Um, yeah, you should do that, Jason. But yeah, no. I don't know when we'll do it next. Hopefully soon. I like talking with Jason. Um, I am probably going to do a review of Power of the Dog next week. So that is the book by Don Winslow, not the one that was turned into a movie and won an Oscar. So I'm looking forward to reading that. I've actually heard Lord of the Shattered Land is really good, like modern sword and sorcery, which is I'm hopeful maybe I'll read that at some point. I have some friends who really enjoy it, like my friend Liam really likes it a lot. And JL Odom, I know Tori really liked her book. I'm actually trying to get her on my podcast, but it's been kind of hassle. It's been kind of a hassle because she was moving, and then I contacted her about a week or so ago, and she hasn't gotten back with me yet. So I'll probably get back with her soon. I haven't read Christopher Moore. I've heard him be kind of compared to like a Terry Pratchett, if you will. I haven't read any of his stuff. So, maybe I'll give it a shot because it turns out I actually like Terry Pratchett now. So, I guess I should try out some of these other humorous book reviews, books. Yeah. Yeah, My Dark Vanessa is not for the faint of heart. It's definitely a troubling book. It's a very sad book at times, and it's even very disgusting. Like there is explicit sexual content between a minor and a 42-year-old man, and it's not fun to read. I'll say that. It's very well written. It gets its point across, but it's not a fun read. Well, as a matter of fact, Elena, I did a video about a week or two ago, called The Discworld Files, Episode 1, where I talked with some friends of mine who are seasoned Discworld readers, and I read Guards, though, to answer your question, which is often considered a good starting place. I must agree, because that's where I started, and I really enjoyed it, so I'm hoping to get to some more Discworld down the line. But Guards was a blast. I enjoyed the crap out of that book. Like it was just so fun. I enjoyed it. But it's also really it's well written too. It's good. It surprised me. I was pleasantly surprised. But going back to Mac's comment, I hope you enjoy those books whenever you get around to them. So yeah. But going back to My Dark Vanessa, yeah, I don't blame you. It's not a book for the faint of heart. I mean, I wouldn't probably read Lolita at the same time because that's a book that deals with similar subject matter. It's not a fun subject. I mean, it's not a fun subject. I mean, getting groomed is a hard thing, man. I mean, I've not been groomed, as far as I know. I've not been groomed, but I have known people who have, and it's a very strange thing. So, yes, I did hear that. I did hear that she won Spiffbo. Luckily that didn't panic. Luckily that worked out for her. I mean, you never know. I mean, I'm not a Vanessa who's like emotionally stunted because of her experiences. So Liam finally saw my comment. Excellent. Shout out to Liam if he ever watches this. I doubt he will. He's probably he's probably working, as would my guess would be. Oh man, should have. I was on fire at the radio station today. But no, seriously, My Dark Vanessa is not like a fluffy read. It's definitely one you have to like emotionally prepare yourself for. And I agree with Jason what he said about the first chapter. Like, man, it's so good. Like, I mean, it works for what it's trying to get across. And it just makes you really viscerally uncomfortable. So, All right, take care, Jason. Well, I'll probably still be here when you get back. But it's really good at making you just viscerally uncomfortable with what's happening. Now I don't think that Mary Russell, I think is her name, has the same uh or is it Karen Russell? Hold on, let me get my copy out. Oh man. Kate Elizabeth Russell is her name. I don't know if Kate Elizabeth Russell has the same level of depth as a Vladimir Nabokov, but what she does do, she does very exceptionally. So there you go. I think Lolita would be a bit more upsetting for people because it is from the perpetrator's point of view, and you really get a look into the sick mind of somebody who would do something like what somebody like Jacob Strain does. So I could definitely see that being the more upsetting. And I think Russell does a very similar thing that Nabokov did in Lolita, which is kind of deconstructing our preconceived notions about what those kinds of people are like, you know. And I think that's what makes Lolita such an uncomfortable read, because you can't deny the humanity of somebody like Humbert, even though what he does is horrific, you know, even though what he does is awful. Also, Tharnall, #1 fan of the streams. Thank you for coming in. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing pretty good myself. But it's hard because like My Dark Vanessa is a bit more visceral. Like it has a very it graphically depicts what's going on. But at the same time, Lolita really delves into the mind of somebody like that. So I guess it depends on what disturbs you more. like, are you more disturbed? Are you more disturbed by getting an insight into the perpetrator's mind, or are you more disturbed by it actually happening and you see it from the victim's point of view? So there you go. He does more than that. I did a review of Lolita, and that's another review of mine I'm actually quite pleased with. But even then, I don't know if I fully, grasped, if I fully explained what that book made me feel, if that makes sense. It's just that's just where we're at. It's one of those books. It'll change your life, I think. That's not a bad lesson to learn from Lolita. It's like, oh man, like it's such like I hate to say it, because again, it's a terrible, because like Humbert is objectively a horrible human being, and like what he does is horrific, and like what he's doing is horrific, but at the same time, like it's sublime. Like, like there are passages in that book where I had to put it down and I just was like, whoa, which is kind of funny. We're talking about Lolita. I'm actually hoping on Friday to put out my top 20 favorite books of all time. It should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Small Gods. That's it's like I know that kind of informed Neil Gaiman when he was writing American Gods, because I know, though it's a bit more dramatic than Terry. I know him and Terry Pratchett were very close friends. Which is this weird coming back to people who are kind of predatory. Yes. That's an interesting way of looking at it. It's funny. It's making me think back of the comment I left on Jason's video where I kind of, I'm sorry, Jason. I put like a kind of mini essay about what I think of the differences between Lolita and My Dark Vanessa. I mean, I think it would be interesting, Helena, since you haven't read Lolita, if you would read My Dark Vanessa first and then read Lolita. I think that would be interesting because I know a lot of people come in like me. I read Lolita first and then I read My Dark Vanessa. I do think the two books are in conversation with each other, you know. Um, but I mentioned that like there's the part where I think it's very telling that in My Dark Vanessa, we never really learn anything about Strain as a person. We don't learn why he does what he does. We don't learn what happened to him in his past. He does bring up a couple things. I won't I won't go into it for, spoiler reasons, of course, but we don't learn about him. We don't learn too much about his life, about why he's that way, which makes sense. This is Vanessa's story, but I think it's telling that she never really cared about him. Like, not in a way that like we would consider be like a healthy, sane, way. Same thing with how, Nabokov portrays Humbert. And Humbert has these very long descriptive passages about how um um oh dear, what happened with Samuel Delaney? What did Samuel Delaney do something? Let me look it up. Did Chip Delaney do something? Let me see. Um, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I mean, he goes on these passages about how Lolita makes him feel, but you never really learn anything about who Lolita is as a person, who Dolores is as a person. And again, I think that's very telling. He never loved her, like not in the way that we know love. It's very much this like forbidden fruit kind of thing, which is disgusting. But you know, it's also like it's kind of beautiful in a way because my God, the way that Nabokov plays with words is insane, and the way that he just like fucks with your mind, it's oh, ooh, oh, not Nambla, ew, it's not, no. I don't know, man. I don't know if that's gonna happen anytime soon. But I mean, I don't know. I'll admit, Hog is a book that I'll probably never read, and I am a guy who will basically read anything. And I enjoy me some good old fashioned depraved dark books. But from what I hear, Hog is like the most depraved, disgusting book. Um, Nambla is a how do I put it? A an organization of very sick people. We'll say that. Very it's basically you know what? I'll just say it bluntly. It's an organization of pedophiles. Yeah. So, yeah. There you go. That's all I'll say about that. Don't really need to know any more about that. So, there you go. Oh no, it's even worse than that. Like it's basically like 120 days to Sodom. Like it's disgusting from what I've heard. Like it's fucking nasty, you know. Um yeah, that's I've wanted to read Chip Delaney for a while, but I'm like, "Oh man, I don't want to." Yeah, South Park had Nambla. That's a great episode where Cartman's trying to find mature friends, and it just, oh my god, I'm just like that's classic South Park. Yeah, America's a strange place, Helena. It is. It's just. Yeah, no. Going back to Lolita though, it's a great book. It's fantastic. It's one of my favorites of all time. Even though, again, I know it's kind of you know, kind of you might get some side eyes from people for saying that. If well, at least if they know what that is, which you know. Excuse me. Just had me a slight burp there. Yeah, we're a bit more like absolutist about free speech, which, you know, is great. You know, I don't have to get arrested for, you know, saying, hey, the government kind of sucks. But at the same time, it kind of sucks when fucking crazy people come out and start spreading their crazy, you know, beliefs, kind of like Nambla or or not Quora, Quanon, or however you pronounce that. So, you know, it has its ups and downs. Will you be reading any fantasy this year? I'm reading fantasy right now, as a matter of fact. I'm reading Titus Grown right here, which is fantasy. I am reading Blood in the Mist by Hope Mirlees, which I kind of think would be a good read for anyone who likes Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. So there you go. I know Neil Gaiman also really liked Blood in the Mist. Still likes it because he's still alive. But and I'm reading Animal Man, which is also kind of fantasy, you know. Lust. It's a strange thing. It really, really is. Or however you want to pronounce it, because, you know, Humbert's a disgusting fuck. It's just a nasty, nasty man. But he's also very seductive, surprisingly. You know, I've heard of the failures. I've heard it be compared to the Dark Tower, which, you know, cool. You know, I think more fantasy should be inspired by the Dark Tower. Because aside from Elric, Dark Tower is just the most batshit insane fantasy series I've ever seen. I'm reading the Jeff Lemire Animal Man right now. So hold on, I'll just grab the omnibus that I have. So this right here, this puppy, I'm reading this. Hopefully gonna get some through it tonight. So hopefully that'll go well. But I haven't read the original Vertigo stuff yet, though I did get the Grant Morrison run recently, because I am hoping to do a Grant Morrison related project in the future. So I won't say too much more about that. But yeah. So I enjoy it's a good one. But going back to Dark Tower, I think more. I usually read 2, sometimes 3, if I can, you know, if I can, you know, get like a shorter book in. That's probably what I'm going to do next month. So read 3 books. I'm going to try that anyway. And with comics, so 3. So I'll read 3 at the most. So yeah, I just do not have the willpower to read through one book, then one book, then one book. I just have to jump around. I can't do it. So yeah. Nothing wrong with people who read books one at a time. Like that's fine. That's your business. But you know, I generally just read 3 if I possibly can. It's kind of interesting because I know that Jeff Lemire said a few times that he was more inspired by like Jamie Delano's run on Animal Man, which I haven't read because, you know, it doesn't have the. Geez, Tharnall, you read 27 books. It's insane. Ah. I've not heard it described quite like that before, but sure, yeah, I'll say that. I would read Salem's Lot, if not because the preacher character shows up in the Dark Tower and it spoils Salem's Lot in the series. So there you go. You can read The Stand if you want. You don't have to, but I do kind of view The Stand as kind of a prologue of sorts of what he would do with the Dark Tower. Because it's like, oh, it's a post-apocalyptic tale, and now you're in a fantasy book. I'm quite yes, I have. I have read all of the Dark Tower. So yeah, long time ago. But yes, I did. I was really sad that Tori did not get through the Dark Tower, which I that makes sense because man, the first book is such a hard sell at times, because it's so weird and out there, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? And then there's like the real weird shit. And also, it was a book that King wrote when he was like in his late teens, early 20s. So there you go. But I really like the Dark Tower quite a bit. I do think it is Stephen King's it is sort of his magnum opus. That or It is probably his magnum opus. I do like the ending of the Dark Tower. I will warn you though, it is a very emotional one. So I'll leave it at that. I described it to a friend of mine as a emotional ball kick of an ending. So yeah, there you go. Let me see. Demodrek is here. Hello, Demodrek. How you doing? Just talking shop about fantasy literature, if you will. Let me see. What's Dave doing? Oh, that's cool. Well, yeah. If you're a female, there are no females here. No, I'm kidding. It's kind of like Joe Abercrombie. Going back to Tori though, I was kind of sad that I'm still kind of disappointed that she didn't take to the ending of the First Law. I mean, I get it. It is kind of a it's not a happy ending, for lack of a better word. Hell, some people, I could definitely see how people might think it's not a satisfying ending. I personally think it's a brilliant ending. I think it's like I don't see it ending with a happy ending, not in the world of the First Law. I don't see it, and it didn't. And I'm glad that Abercrombie committed to that. Yeah. And also the last 100 pages of last Argument of Kings, I think is some of the best work that Joe Abercrombie has done. Just the building of tension and dread in that the last 100 pages is just wonderful. It's wonderful. Yeah, I'm of two minds about the ending of Lost. Like on the one hand, I get how a lot of people were frustrated, but I actually think it's a satisfying ending for the characters. I do think because they all got what they needed at the end of that ending. So there you go. Look, I know you might be mad at Benioff, but his book City of Thieves is fantastic. Highly recommend that book. It's really one of the best things that I've read in a while. So it's also a war book. I you know what I think would be a good show? I think The First Law would be a fantastic show. Because one of the things Abercrombie's really good at, and barely anyone brings it up, is the dude's really good at setting a scene. Like he's really good at like developing he's really good at like creating an atmosphere. He's really good at painting an image in your mind, which I know is kind of a cliche thing to say. I probably will, not in any rush to, I've heard very mixed things from fans and people alike. From what I hear, it kind of sounds like Joe's version of The Boys. And what I mean is, it is kind of like him being a caricature of himself. Kind of like my issues with The Boys comics is that I do think that Innes in that comic is kind of caricaturing himself, where I think he could have done better in a lot of places. From the sounds of the Devils, it sounds like that's what is going on with Abercrombie. I don't know. I'm only going off of what I've heard. Though I did watch Daniel Green's review of the Devils the other day, and he was talking about how one of the main characters is kind of a horn dog, and it was kind of hard not to snicker, you know, based on what happened. Yeah. I've heard the humor is a bit more amped in that series, so or not series book. I was looking for it the other day when I went to the bookstore. I didn't find it. So yeah, exactly, right? I was just like, "Oh my god." Bro, I probably wouldn't mention that. When am I reading Gardens of the Moon? I am hopefully I'm thinking either July or August. It really depends on when I get through A Brief History of Seven Killings, because I'm really hoping to get to that in August. But or not August, July. So July or August is probably when I'm going to get to Gardens of the Moon. So there you go. I'll let everyone know when I start reading Gardens of the Moon. All right, I'll say that. I was actually talking about Malazan. Hello, Mark. How are you doing, man? If you make it past 5 pages, you beat me. You know what? I'll take you up on that bet, Helena. I know it's kind of a hit or miss for some people. Yeah. I know what you mean. Guards of the Moon. Helena, I think he's referencing the Dark Tower, or is his name Turin? I can't think at the moment. Yeah, I've heard people say you shouldn't read you probably shouldn't read like Malazan first if you're like a fantasy fan. I've heard some people have done it, which how? I mean, definitely for like beginner fantasy, I would definitely recommend something like, I don't know, not Lord of the Rings. I would definitely recommend like The Hobbit. I would definitely recommend like The Hobbit, because The Hobbit, I think, is the best straightforward story of the Tolkien legendarium. Now, some people might go, what about this? What about that? I haven't read of stuff like The Children of Hurin yet, so don't at me. I haven't read it yet. But I haven't read it, so again, you know. Wow, really? That is correct. I've seen The Empire of Silence at several of the Barnes and Nobles I've been to. That is crazy. Okay, so you've read like the first, like, okay, so you've gotten your. I'm an idiot. That is the one from Discworld, not the one from the Dark Tower. Do you think Stephen King has read Discworld? Because there's also a magical turtle in the Dark Tower, which is not a spoiler, by the way. It's in it. So there you go. But no, that is nuts. Because I'll have to get I'll get Empire of Silence and I'll send it to you, Mark. Oh well, I've not heard of this awkward turtle thing, so maybe it is a UK thing. I don't know. That's possible. That's definitely possible. I mean, his reading has gone all over the place, and there are some books he likes that I'm kind of shocked that he's even read. Like I know he's liked some Philip Roth books, which God bless you if you love Philip Roth, but I've never really liked his style. I really don't like the angsty white guy chase and tail novels that so many people love. I'm like, dude, just fucking masturbate, man. Like, There's no shame in it. People do it. Just, beat it off once in a while. You'll probably feel a lot better about your angst about, getting older. But no, not a Philip Roth fan. I'm not really a big fan of those, like, white guys running around chasing tail. Like, I fucking hate the Rabbit books. If any of you have ever heard of John Updike's Rabbit books, I've only read the first one, and I fucking hated it because Rabbit is such a loathsome character, which I'll grant John Updike, that is an intentional choice. But, yeah, he was so loathsome. Yeah, I'm not reading another book. And it's also those types of books I freaking hate. So, maybe don't read Red Seas Under Red Skies because, well, it's not really a heist. There is a heist in it, and that's part of the plot. But, yeah, that's a big part of the plot. But Liza Locke-Lamora, even though people say it's like Ocean's 11, it is not. It is more of a revenge story than a heist story. So, but going back to like first fantasy, so you've read Lord of the Rings, you've read Narnia, okay. I wouldn't say Narnia is Lewis's best work, but if you like it, you like it. Harry Potter is also a good starting point for fantasy. If you want something, it is for kids, but I still think it's a great story that holds up. Oh really? No, that's. I'm glad people laughed at me saying that people like Philip Roth should just masturbate once in a while. He has passed away though, so he no longer has the chance to do any of that. So yeah. But yeah, I'm like, why is that literature? Like, how come that is lit? Like, I think that's just boring. Like, I'm a white dude who is angsting about getting older and chasing tail. I don't want to read books about other white guys doing that. It's too close to home for me. I want to read about other people's experiences. I read The Plot Against America, which I'm not the biggest fan of. And there's also that Jewish neuroticism, which don't take this the wrong way. Don't alert Raph. Don't tell Raph I'm an anti-Semite. I'm not saying like in an anti-Semite way. I don't hate Jewish people. But I don't like that kind of neurotic Jew trope, is what I'm saying. And Roth tends to do that a lot. So, not a fan. Not a fan. Michael Chabon also kind of does that because he also talks a lot about the Jewish experience, but that is not. But he has more fun with it, Like he has fun when he writes. I feel like Roth's a very overly serious writer, and it can be kind of hard to take that seriously. I like writers who you can tell they're having fun when they're writing the books that they write. If you're too serious, then that can kind of lose me a little bit. So there you go. But I've only read in like I think some of Sabbath's Theater a little bit. I've only read that in The Plot Against America, which is kind of hard because the alternate history that he talks about is actually really interesting. I actually think that's interesting. But yeah, just the characters aren't interesting. And again, there's that neurotic Jewish thing, that plot trope that I dislike a lot in Jewish media. That's why I don't watch a lot of Woody Allen movies, because like, oh my God, like that's his whole shtick, man. Maybe I'll watch Annie Hall at some point, but I've seen Midnight in Paris and I love that movie. So, maybe it won't be so bad. I've not read Zelazny, but I mean, they're short, so that's probably a good choice. Conan the Cimmerian, I think, would be a good place to start. Demidrek, do you better not slander Midnight. That's you damn right. You better love that movie. It's a fantastic film. Don't watch Annie Hall. Okay, you know what? I won't, because Also, Woody Allen is hella sus, as the kids like to say. Um, I'm a Jew, so people hate me movie of all time. Oh, I get it. I am a Jew, so people hate me movie of all time. Okay, yeah, I'll probably not like Annie Hall very much. If that's what that whole movie's about. Oh man. Um Homie, you were a kid yourself. You know, that's true. That's true. Yeah. I I technically I feel like a kid a lot of the time. And then I go to college and there's like these 21 and then there's like 21-year-old people, 21-year-old, 22, 23, even like all the way down to like 18. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I am old. But then I'm like, no, you're not. You're 20, you're 24, dude. Calm down. But yeah, no, it's yeah, Hemingway's great in that movie. I really like Midnight in Paris because I like that period. I like the Lost Generation. I mean, my favorite book of all time is The Great Gatsby. So, oh, Derry's here. We were talking about Discworld earlier. So, I'm glad she missed the part where I was talking about angsty white guys chasing tail, because she might have been like, she probably would have found it funny, but at the same time. But hello, Derry. I'm glad you're here. And hey, I had a power nap earlier too, so you know what? Do your thing. I am glad that you had a nap. I also had a nap. It was great. Even though I woke up and I was sweating. Like, that's happened the last couple days. I don't know why, but that's just the rule of life, I guess. But yeah, no, I was pretty like, look, I'm an angsty white guy who does the same thing, okay? So I have no excuse whatsoever. I don't want to read about other people doing it, because then, like, it's too close to home for me, you know? I mean, I hopefully I'm not a selfish that hopefully I'm not as selfish as like a rabbit angstrom, but you know. Well, if that's the case, where are my freaking superpowers coming in? Yes. I've seen Robin Hobb compliment a few fantasy books. Like, I read one called The Black Tongue Thief. Did not care for it, but she's blurbed. She's blurbed on the spine. So, yeah. There you go. Well, Derry, Max said earlier that he does plan to read Small Gods next, which I'm like, ooh, tell me how that is, Mac, because I know it was kind of informed my favorite fantasy novel of all time, which is American Gods. So there you go. Now I'm sure I'll get they're very different books, Britain, but I get that. But I do know that he was informed a bit by. Also, I was trying to help Helena with some fantasy books that she should read first, in her journey as a fantasy fan. And it's kind of hard though, because oh, is it? I'll have to pick that up, because I really like hearing Andy Serkis. He has a good voice, even when he's not doing Gollum. Speaking of that, he was on Andor season 1. He was fantastic. So there you go. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, I was trying to help Helena with some fantasy recommendations, because I'm sure you'll probably say Discworld, which I did tell her though to check out what a name. What a name. Or Stan. You mind if I just call you Stan? I'm doing well. You know, I was actually thinking about Terry Pratchett when I was driving home from my internship today. You know, as one does when they're driving home. And I'm like, you know, I feel like I don't really think he's like angry. I think he's just disappointed. He's like, look, guys, we could do. There's this sense in Terry Pratchett that we could be doing a lot better than we're doing right now. You know, that's just kind of my vibe. Then again, I've only read one book, so Derry, you can feel free to correct me if I'm mistaken, which I absolutely could be. Though Helena has read some Discworld from what she was telling me. Then again, I think about a lot of books when I drive. You know, sometimes I'll think back like, oh, that was an interesting turn of phrase. Something like that. There you go. Yeah, guess what, Derry? I was at the bookstore the other day, and they had the freaking Guards copy that I have. And I was pissed. I was freaking pissed, you know, because I got Guards for Christmas, and I appreciate the gift. You know, my parents, you know, they're always very generous on Christmas. They put up with my whims, if you will. They're always Well, Helena, have you ever heard of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? It's a bit more mean-spirited than Discworld, but god damn, it is hilarious. Like, just some of the funniest bits I've ever read in a book. I need to read the rest of the series. But man, what a fun series. It's a bit different from Terry Pratchett, though, because Terry Pratchett is, like, again, going off of hello, Tim. What I am learning, okay, so you've already read Hitchhiker's Guide, so you know what I'm talking about. Well, I'm learning how to edit stuff. You know how the radio personalities talk over the song sometimes. I'm learning how they do that. I'm learning how to I've also been on their show a couple times, even though this is only my first week. So I think they like me, guys. So I think it's a good sign. And I've been learning how to edit stuff. He was the guy I'm working with was showing me how to do he was showing me how to do a thumbnail earlier today, so that was fun. But yeah, they're great people. I'm enjoying it. But yeah, you know, like with Douglas Adams, there's this sense that the universe is a joke, so let's just enjoy it while it lasts, which I don't agree with, but just the way that he explores that theme in a very fun way, I love it. I love it, you know? Hitting the post. There you go. I'm learning how to hit the post. So yeah, that's what I'm learning at the moment. I also am editing clips together. I was doing that some today. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. I'm also trying to get Helena to do some sword and sorcery like Conan. Yeah, exactly. It's like existential comedy. Yeah, I mean, in Terry Pratchett, there's a bit more of a softness there. Like you can tell. And again, I am only going off of reading Guards. So, but like you can tell that like Terry actually likes his characters. You know, like there's a softness there. You know, it's not as mean as Douglas Adams can get. And Douglas Adams is freaking hilarious. I mean, like if Douglas Adams is one author I would compare to, is he's like Ambrose Bierce, and Terry Pratchett is kind of like Mark Twain. Kind of going with a Yankee example there, but you know, hopefully you get what I'm saying. It's not that hardcore. I mean, it can get pretty violent, but you know. But yeah, no. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Derry can back me up on Terry Pratchett being um more soft than like uh um Douglas Adams, because I do think that Terry Pratchett is a bit more, again, like I'm only going off of reading guards, but you know, I've read but you can tell reading the book that Terry really likes his characters. Terry Pratchett really likes his characters. He really likes being with them. He likes writing them. He likes to and he enjoys spending time with them, if you will. Like, you know, I don't know if there's the same thing with Douglas Adams. It is a bit more about the gag, if you will. So I bet Derry is just gonna like cry and be like, I'm so proud of you, Britton. You're doing good. You've gotten it. You know, it's a really terrible impression. I'm sorry, Derry. Please don't get mad at me. Yeah, that yeah, that's the Veil of Lost Women. Yeah, I remember when I read that and I read that line, I was just like, "Oh my god." Like that that was just so, like, I was like, "Oh, that's not aged very well." Ah, man, that's, yeah. Yeah, and of course Terry Pratchett is a bit more of a wordsmith. He really likes wordplay. He really likes to, you know, really loves his word gags. And he's good at situational comedy too. And Adams is as well. So Adams is really good at kind of that Monty Python thing. He throws something at you, you're like, what the fuck? And then he just keeps going, you know, and it's like, here's some funny shit. And it's great. It's really fun. Like, oh. There's also Fritz Leiber's Lankmar, if you like humorous. Uh it is a bit humorous, but it's also kind of it does have its moments. Like, you know, Lankmar, if you read the Lankmar books, you'll definitely get an idea of like where Terry got his idea for Ankh Morpork from Discworld. Um but yeah. I mean, Robert E. Howard's my favorite pulp writer, so you know, if that really means anything. But if you're not really into the machismo, I would check out Foffer and the Grey Mouser, because they're just two goofballs who are just kind of trying to make it in a world. Some of the female representation is not the best, but it is a lot of fun, and I enjoy reading them. So I have enjoyed reading them. At least read, like, if you read Elmet and Lankmar and are not sold on Foffer and the Grey Mouser, forget it. You're not going anywhere. You know, I know Tori said that I saw Tori's video the other day about books she won't be continuing with, and I thought she would bring up Lankmar, but that she did not. So I was like, okay. I thought she would I thought she'd start ripping on a Lankmar again, but no, that's not what she did. So maybe she forgot about Lankmar. I don't know. I don't know, Tim. If you're still here, if you want to help me out with talking about um Lankmar, feel free, because Tim and Liam and um Raph are kind of the sword and sorcery aficionados of BookTube. Also, I know like Clark Ashton Smith is pretty well beloved by a lot of people. I haven't read him yet, so maybe someday I'll get around to him. I actually have the Penguin book that was put out that St. Joshi did a few years ago. I just haven't read it yet. I love his art though. I love Clark Ashton Smith's art. Well, she said she likes Lord of the Rings, Narnia, and Harry Potter. Am I right? So, maybe British fantasy. I know you said you were having a hard time with Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, so I won't recommend that to you, even though I think you should read it. It's fantastic. Maybe Piranesi because it's shorter. I think Piranesi's a fantastic book too. And again, it's shorter. So if you want, if you don't want to deal with the massive monstrosity that is well, if you want non-medieval, Bazleg by China Mieville, starting with Perdido Street Station. Might like that. The Vor is non-medieval, even though Jason, I got Jason to read it, and he was just like, yeah, it wasn't good. But he was mistaken. It's another fantasy. It's not medieval. I mean, Black Leopard, Red Wolf is technically like medieval Africa, but it's definitely a lot different than a lot of other medieval fantasy. American Gods, of course. I can't help but recommend that. I mean, Neil Gaiman's books in general. Despite the guy's personal problems, he's written some great books like Coraline and American Gods, which is my favorite of his. Ocean at the End of the Lane is also very good too. So, though it does kind of peter out at the end, unfortunately. I thought it did anyway. Has some of Neil's best writing though in Ocean at the End of the Lane. Like, man, really beautiful stuff. I haven't read Neverwhere yet. I haven't read Neverwhere. I haven't read Anansi Boys. Haven't read the Graveyard Book. Yeah, I've heard Dresden's good. I'm just kind of wary because it's long, and I've heard it's male gazy, but like that stuff doesn't really, bother me so much because I'm like, guys, it's a noir book. That's a very male gazy genre. At least at times it is. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. Don't leave, everyone. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm back. What is this? What does that word mean? Menopausal. You know what? I'll look it up. Oh. Well, now I do know. I probably shouldn't. All right. All right. Never mind. You don't have to tell me. I figured it out. Man. I found it. Aha. Okay, there we go. Just that meme of Pepe where he's just like sitting there and he's like all sad, like that's me right now. Just like, oh man, why did I think that was a good idea to look that up? Yeah, I know it's short. I mean, I own it. Hold on, I'll get it out real quick. Yeah, here's a copy I have right here. Really? You just get off on making men uncomfortable. You guys are horrible. No, I'm kidding. You guys are great. Yeah, I've noticed Derry really likes those urban fantasies, if you will. You know what? I might read the Graveyard Book for Halloween. I'll see how that goes. Because I don't really have a lot of horror books in mind this year, except for The Bloody Chamber by Angela Carter. I'm hoping to read that this year because a lot of people are like, man, that's some good stuff. And also, there's werewolves, so I'm just like, I gotta try this. Werewolves, like, yes, please. As long as it's not like oh geez. Give me a sec real quick. All right, I'm back. We are indeed eating. You haven't scared me away. Now we have naturally. Now I understand that the menstrual cycle is a natural part of life. That said, I don't envy the ladies. I will say that because I've had friends tell me about it, and it sounds very uncomfortable. I've heard reviews of Jay Kristoff's Empire of the Vampire series, and it just makes me think it's like Elric, just with vampires. Now, some people might bristle at this, but that's kind of the vibe I got from it. So, I it's not like it's just it's part of life. I get that. That said, it's a bit. I've heard of Vampire Hunter D. Yeah, I've heard of that. Um, uh, yeah, I feel like Australians, Scottish people, and Irish people, they really have swearing down to a science. Like they're really very creative with their swears, which isn't Deadwood. I mean, American can do it too. It depends. I mean, The Witcher has vampires in it, so I mean, I think they're well done. So but I don't read a lot of vampire stuff because vampires aren't my favorite horror creature. I'm more of a werewolf man myself. There, I'll tell you a funny story about I'll tell. I know British people swear too, but I'll tell you a funny story. I was reading Philip Chase's Idan trilogy. I was at the final book somewhere, and um and there's a scene where like the queen is talking to one of the characters. I'm forgetting her name at the moment, but she's basically like, oh, so have you not bled in a while? And I'm just like, oh, okay. It's like, all right. Philip's just straight up going in, you know. I remember just being thrown off by like the bluntness of the question. I was like, oh man, that's yeah. I've heard the Devils is a werewolf in it, so I'm definitely gonna read it if not for that. I hear he is a massive horn dog, so we'll see how that goes. This kind of reminds me of Matt's Pub a little bit because we're just talking about a bunch of random weird shit, one of my favorite times I was on Matt's Pub was um we just started talking. Derry can remember. I don't know if Derry remembers this, but she was there, and we were talking about um but like we were just chilling out, and we didn't just started talking about dildos, and I was just like, this is fantastic, this is why I do booktube, because randomly uh bringing up dildos, good time. Burn me in the face, you know where my body leads me. Yes, I do hear that the werewolf in the Devils is a huge horn dog. So, Yep. Beautiful stuff. Like there was one time on well, actually I was streaming. It wasn't on Matt's Pub because Matt was he was gone. So he was gone for a little bit, so I decided to do my own pub for a little while. And me and Raph just kind of, we're talking. And and we just were talking about the term raw dog and just how inherently funny that phrase is, which I still stand by. That is an inherently funny phrase. Another inherently funny word I was thinking about today was wiener. So I think wiener is a very funny word. Yes, I will be. I don't have really any specific horror in mind. There is one though, so hold on, let me pull it out. Hoping to read this year. The Bloody Chamber and Other Stories by Angela Carter, which is like apparently a dark fantasy / horror book. Very well loved by a lot of people. Neil Gaiman really likes this. I heard J.K. Rowling really liked Angela Carter. Salman Rushdie likes Angela Carter. So I'm hoping to read this when I do my spoopathon in October. And also, I'm probably going to finish Gideon Falls, which is a horror comic, and House of the Unholy by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, which is probably a crime book. But it seems to have horror elements in it. So there we go. The Henry James story. I haven't read it, but I've heard it's good. Unfortunately, no. I would like to read. I would like to read the Satanic Verses at one point because I want to see what all the fuss is about. Because he got his eye freaking stabbed out over it. I want to see. I want to see what all the fuss is about, man. So maybe next year because I'm already going to read A Brief History of Seven Killings and Pale Fire sometime down the line this year. Um, yeah, I'm probably gonna wait till either next year or the year after to probably, read it. But I've wanted to read Salman Rushdie for a long time. I've seen interviews with him. He seems like a smart, if not um um he does seem a bit up his ass a little bit. He is a bit snobbish, but he seems like an interesting guy. So there you go. He's one of those it's magical realism, not fantasy, yada yada yada. Even though he likes Lord of the Rings and superhero comics, so get over yourself. Anyway, I haven't read Shirley Jackson either. I'm so sorry. Well, actually, no, I have. I read her story Charles when I was in school. Liked it. I thought it was good. I've heard the lottery. Um, I've heard the lottery is good. Like that's one of her best short stories. I know Jason didn't really take to what was it? I think it was The Haunting of Hill House. So, but Jason not liking something is just so expected at this point. I'm not even phased by it anymore. You know how sad that is? It doesn't even phase me anymore. Like it doesn't even phase me that Jason doesn't like things. Though I have kind of liked this new I haven't liked the I have liked this new era of Jason that we're seeing because he's actually liking a couple books recently. So oh boy. Might have been a little TMI there. I read a book a few years ago, actually when I first met Jason, called Those Across the River. And it's about werewolves for those who don't know. But they're the main characters who are married. Well, they're not technically married yet, but they're basically married at, they're technically married at this point. That's actually how I found Jason was through Those Across the River. Like they fuck all over the book. Like it's ridiculous. I'm just like, dude, look, I'm a horn dog. All right. I get it, but god damn. But then again, it is set in the 30s. So I guess they didn't have a lot of things to do with their time. And, I mean, I bet pornography probably existed, but probably not in the way it does now. So, but I was kind of like, damn, dude, they're just fucking all over this damn thing. I like that we've come back to. I like that we've come back to sex talk. This is wonderful. Because what was it? Oscar Wilde said everything leads back to sex. Yeah, I've heard mixed things about Book of Love. You know, um, I find that the thing with writing sex is that a lot of writers aren't good at it. A lot of writers aren't very good at writing sex, with exceptions, of course. I think China Mieville is quite good at writing sex. Um, you know, who else is good at writing sex? I think Joe Abercrombie writes sex very interestingly. One person told me, I forget who it was, but Oh, I've heard of fine print. Yeah, my friends at I have some friends at a place called um yeah, I think a lot of people don't really know how to write sex all that well. I mean, George R. R. Martin gets away with it, so you know. Um who else can write sex? I would say Neil Gaiman, but you know, I know a lot of people don't really like Neil Gaiman right now, but I think he writes sex pretty well. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from. It's definitely sus. I'll put it that way. Not a fan. I know Britain. Like I feel ashamed of myself. But no, a lot of writers are really bad at writing sex. That's the problem. And, you know, Larry McMurtry wrote some pretty good sex scenes. So, yeah. One thing that kind of irritated me and still kind of irritates me is Andrew's Wizardly Reads read um he read Lonesome Dove and DNF'd it, which okay, totally fine. But then why the hell do you like it? He didn't like it because of the sexual content, which like okay, fine. Like, you know, you can do that. You know, that's your opinion. But why the fuck do you like Kagan the Damned? Like it is far more flippant about its sexual content than Lonesome Dove. Like at least in Lonesome Dove, like you get to see the after effects of someone dealing with a trauma like rape. Like you don't see that in Kagan the Damned. Like it it's it it it's oh my god. It's bad. It's really bad. I have not read the New York trilogy. Is that the one by Paul Auster? I I think I've heard of this, but I've not read the New York trilogy. Is it good? Have you read it? Agreed. Cersei is just oh man. Whose takes? Hold on. Let me Oh, are you referencing Paul Auster? Yes. I've heard of them. I know my friend Matt likes that series. Oh, were you talking about Andrew's Wizardly Reads? I mean, he's a nice guy. I've talked with him a couple times, but like I was just really irritated. Like he was all like, "Oh, I put it down because you know, the sexual content." And he it was kind of cocky about it. And I was just like, "Dude, like why the fuck do you like Kagan the Dam then?" Cuz I thought it was far more flippant with its sexual content. Like just saying. Just saying. Just saying. I mean, you can dislike the book, that's fine. But double standards kind of irritate me if that wasn't readily apparent. But yeah, no. I'm just like, bruh, okay, whatever. And then the other day he was all like, "Oh, I didn't really care for because they were horn dogging after prostitutes." I'm like, bro, they were living in the 1870s. What the fuck do you think he was? What the fuck do you think they were doing? You know? Oh my god. Anyway, sorry. Fair enough. Cersei is very much like Tywin. I don't think she loves anyone except herself, really, if you think about it. Kind of like what Derry were saying. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. No, I mean that's totally fine. I mean, there's people I've watched who I have different takes from, but I still respect them. Like Mike, for instance. I don't know if I agree with every single one of his takes. And I do think we have very different things that we look for when we read. But I respect him. I respect his impact on BookTube. I think he's very good at what he does, and he's good at articulating his reasoning for why he likes or dislikes things. So there you go. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think that Tywin is necessarily a narcissist. I do think he is very arrogant, but I don't know if he. I mean, okay, he is capable of feeling that, but he's able to like shut it down, if you will. Oh man, I'm trying to wait till I'm in like a really pulpy, trashy mood to start Drist. So probably take a lot. Well, Cersei is Tywin's daughter, so I mean, I don't want to get into arguments about Tywin again, so I'll just stop there while I'm ahead. um, yeah, his horror takes aren't bad. I like he did a review of Edgar Allan Poe that I really liked, and he likes Conan, so I mean that's always a good sign. Eventually I'll probably do Dungeon Crawler Carl. I'm not in any rush to do it because like I'm kind of still at the phase where I'm like, bro, this kind of feels like a video game. I could just literally play a video game. But a lot of people say it's good. I know Derry really loves Dungeon Crawler Carl. So uh yeah, I'll hopefully get to it. I'll hopefully get to it soon, whenever that'll be. Yes, he was. He was easily the best actor on that show. My God, it was sad when he left. Yeah, I know. My friend Zach, the Tingle Dragon is who he's called on the uh Talking Story Discord, which I am a which I am a member of. I am one of the mods on that server. Oh yeah, like Tywin in the books is described as like guy, this bald, really intense guy with like sideburns, and that. But man, Charles Dance really nailed Tywin's personality. Just golden whiskers. Thank you. Yeah, I fucking hate those. Oh, Charles Dance would be a really good patrician. Either him or like Lee Pace or maybe like Richard Armitage. I think would be a good patrician. Alan Rickman might have been a good patrician, or maybe Alan Rickman could have played someone else. I don't know, but man, I miss Alan Rickman. I think Jay Kristoff would be a good Sam Vimes. No, I'm kidding. I don't know anything. You think Discworld would make a good adaptation? That's a good question, I think, for the chat today or this evening, since we're now in the evening. You know what? You're probably right. I think Alan would be a great Sam Vimes. He's pissed off enough where I think he would make a good Sam Vimes. I heard that I heard there was a adaptation of Discworld of Hogfather, and the guy who plays Jonathan Tea Time, or however you pronounce his name. Um Damn it, I forget the guy's name, but I can see his face. Like he was in a couple of things. You think Raph? Who do you think Raph would be in Discworld? Jesus, 3 hours. I didn't think the book was that long. I think my favorite character so far is I think my favorite my favorite character in this world so far is probably Sam Vimes. I identify with his kind of. Would bitterness be the right word? I don't know if that's the right word, but I understand his jadedness with society, and just kind of feeling like, well, what's the fucking point of it all? Oh, well, if there's psychotic eldritch clowns in Color of Magic, I'll probably pick that up then. Yeah, jaded is a good word, Derry. Thank you. Jaded is a good word for Sam Vimes. He's just kind of like, what's the fucking point of all this? Like, no, because the patrician kind of fucked him over a little bit, just a little, and he's kind of been driven to the point of getting drunk off his ass and doing nothing, doing the bare minimum. And Carrot's also a lot of fun. I like Carrot quite a bit, but I don't know. I just relate to Vimes on a level. Not that I'm an alcoholic, beaten down man, but I understand his frustration at society. I think there's even a line in Guards where he was like he was depressed about his own cynicism or something like that. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't call myself a cynic. I like to call myself a constantly beleaguered optimist. Um, um, You do that, and Bjorn's strong in the arms, your uncle. It's kind of. I was kind of. All right, take care, Elena. Sleep well. You know, is it Born or Jorn? I don't freaking know. It's very British, which is what I like. I like very British humor. So yeah, this world works. This world's been working. Then again, there are some like humorous books that I enjoy. Bjorn, Bjorn. Okay, there you go. I'm probably gonna keep going with the City Watch books because I like those characters and I want to see more from them. So yes, we have been bathed in the spirit of the turtle. You know. Grifton, you say that, and that sounds like a Terry Pratchett gag. You know, he's like, everyone talks about the turtle, but I don't think those 4 elephants get near enough credit. It sounds like a gag from one of the Discworld books. You know, but I want to read more of the City Watch because again, I like those characters, and I'm like, I want to see more. I want to see more from those guys. Though I really want to try the death stuff. I really want to try that. So I'm thinking about maybe trying the death stuff, but we'll see. Like, where would I go with like the death stuff? Men at Arms is so damn good, Britain. I know. I need to get to Men at Arms. I need to go on Amazon and get it because yeah, I know. I watched an interview with Neil Gaiman where he was talking about Terry Pratchett, and he was talking about Terry Pratchett was like, man, fuck this Discworld thing. I don't want to do this anymore. Here's this sci-fi thing I'm coming up with, and Neil's like, oh, okay, cool, but that death character, you know, I want to see more of that guy. And Terry's like, go to hell. And then he hangs up the phone, and then like Neil's like chilling out in his room or whatever, doing his thing, and then he gets a call from Terry, and he's like, "You bastard, it's cold mort," and then he puts the phone down. That's good. That's good. All right, take care, Grifkin. It's always fun seeing you. Yeah, that's what people tell me. Death isn't the main character in the Death book, so I'll try and keep that in mind. But I mean, he's shown up in guards a couple times. So I mean, Derry tells me he's in mostly every book, so can't be too bad. Still, though, I am curious how Terry Pratchett is going to explain the whole Binky thing. Because I'm like, okay, this is just killing me here. Hello, you bastard. Click. Yeah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. And also, I really enjoy when the thief gets blown up, and then he's like, oh man, is that it? Is that how I go out? And that's like, yeah, buddy, I'm sorry. And he's like, but I had a fortune teller tell me that I would die surrounded by my family. And he just goes, Well, I think that lady was mistaken. Uh, though my favorite part, of course, in Guards. I'm kind of repeating what I said already in the Discworld files, but yeah, my favorite part is easily um when Vimes has the standoff with the angry mob. I get that, but I don't want to yell all of the dialogue. My parents gonna be like, "What the hell are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you yelling? Something wrong?" He goes, "I think she was wrong," and is that it? Is that what you want me to say? Do my best Christopher Lee impression. I heard the villain in Men at Arms is pretty vicious, so I'm looking forward to it. I heard that Terry has created some very creepy villains in his time. I mean, the villain in Guards is a lot of fun. It's like, I think she was wrong, or something. I don't know. James Earl Jones maybe would be like a good, or maybe it has to be British guy because from what I've seen so far. Again, I know I'm saying this a lot. Don't do the drinking game because you might die if you drink. When I say from what I've read so far, but it's very British. So if they ever do a proper adaptation, you probably stick with all the British actors. You know, be as British as possible, or maybe get James Marsters because he can pull off a British accent pretty well. I actually met James Marsters at a con a few years ago, and he was a cool dude. Like I enjoyed talking with him about Torchwood. And I'll be honest, I think he was actually excited that someone was asking him about something that wasn't like the Dresden Files audiobooks or Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But, I was like, man, I'm a big fan of Torchwood. And he's like, you know what? I really like that show too. Man, really sucks what happened to it. It was a great show. And I'm like, I know. And we just started. I mean, I don't remember the exact conversation, but I do remember we talked about Torchwood through most of it. It's fantastic. I really enjoyed meeting James Marsters. I did want to meet John Barrowman, but unfortunately he was not there that day. So Jack Harkness is probably my favorite companion in Doctor Who. So there you go. Maybe I'll listen to the Dresden audiobooks because I hear those audiobooks are just like top tier. Like James Marsters is just on it, man. I still need to watch Buffy as well because I know people love it. I just haven't watched it. Have you heard that they're trying to do a reboot of Buffy? I don't know how that would be possible without Joss Whedon. I mean, I know what Joss Whedon did, but just saying. That's his baby. It's like trying to do fucking Breaking Bad without Vince Gilligan. Yeah. Yeah, he seems like a ham. He seems like a ham. He seems like a fun guy to hang out with. Talented dude too. I mean, talented guy too because I he can sing, he can act, he can do drama very well, he can do humor very well. Torchwood is amazing. Yeah, Gilderoy Lockhart was really good in I really liked David Thewlis as Remus Lupin. I really enjoyed him a lot. He really captured that character well. Um I'm still get like Daniel Rad. That would be hilarious if they got Daniel Radcliffe in or Rupert Grint in some of the in a Discworld adaptation. That would be a lot of fun. Who do you think would play Nobby? That's the one I want to know. Like maybe like Jackie Earl Haley or something. Get him to do like I know he's not British, but like who are like creepy looking British people who could play Nobby? Because like Nobby is Um, I feel like Nobby would be like this kind of like creepy looking dude who um just kind of like you'll like yes side like he's a nice enough guy, but like you side eye him a lot because he just seems kind of weird. Like he definitely breaks into houses and steals panties. That's all I'll say. He seems like the type who would do something like that. Oh, I was about to say, did you mean Steve Buscemi? Because that would be fun. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, the guy who plays Baldric. I'm not saying he is a creeper. I'm just saying I wouldn't be shocked if he turned out to be a creeper cuz good god, he was really like freaky. So, he seems very world weary though. He does seem like the like he I'll put it this way. He seems like he's the guy who knows the guy, in the if that makes sense, oh man, what am I trying to say? Like he's basically that cop who like knows everybody in the underworld and you're like, okay, he is kind of sus as hell, but we need him. We still need him, you know. Yeah, Colin's more like the straight-laced guy. Like he's just the guy who's trying to keep everyone, from going crazy. Um, but yeah, I don't know who would play Colin either. We need a proper City Watch adaptation. Just yeah, just go nuts. Hey Zach, how you doing? I was actually bringing you up earlier because we were talking about not Discworld, One Piece. We were like, yeah, I watched we were talking about One Piece. Put it that way. Now we're talking about Discworld. Um, I would pay good money to see a good City Watch adaptation. You know, I need to. I'd pay good money to see it. It seems like it would be like it's a very like good visual style where I think it would do well on like television or something. You could easily make like a 10 movie franchise out of City Watch even if you wanted, or maybe a TV show. I don't know. BBC, get on it. People, give the people what they want. Well, I was telling him how I watched the pilot episode of the live action One Piece the other day. So, that's how we got into the One Piece. Yeah, they seem well, luckily they haven't done that, but there is a little coffee station. I know there is a little coffee station by my friend Josh's office. Um so yeah, if I were to get coffee, I would get it there. Also, John, I wanted to mention before I go, which will probably be in a little bit. Thank you for sending me your book, The Hacker and the Hillbilly. And thank you for the notes. I really appreciated the notes. So thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's kind of weird because Discworld is such a big thing, and it seems like they've kind of sputtered out a couple adaptations. but like they've not had like a proper Discworld adaptation, you know? Like there hasn't been like a proper one where a bunch of people get together to make it a thing. You can call me Nancy. Oh, oh, there we go. Yeah, I know you mentioned Bukowski, so yeah. Damn, that sucks. Oh man, that sucks. That's so sad. That really sucks. That he didn't get the chance to like oversee. He wasn't that old when he passed away, which I was kind of surprised by. Um, I was kind of shocked. Like he wasn't that old when he passed away. Like, hold on, let me look up how old he was. Terry Pratchett. You know, it's kind of funny that he has like this scowl in his like one photo in his profile photo on Twitter. You know, like that's so funny. Yeah, I've heard that. He was 66. That is not old. That is not very old. Like like he would prompt like he's a couple years younger than my grandmother. So I mean that sucks, man. It's only 66 when he passed away. Again, that is not very old. Yeah, it's a sad thing. What does G and U mean? Hold on, let me look this up. Is that a Discworld reference? Oh, that yeah, I heard that. I heard he actually yeah, I heard he actually made his own sword, which I'm like, this guy sounded like a really cool guy, man. Yeah, just it sucks that he passed away. Because again, he could easily still be alive, doing. You know what? Maybe not so bad because you know no gaming. No, I know him and I know him and Gaiman were boys, so you know maybe he dodged a bullet there. I hate to say that because I don't want to sound like I'm you know. I wouldn't like to imagine the harassment he would have gotten, you know, over that whole fiasco. Man, Warhammer's one of those things. Like, bro, I already do Star Wars. Like, I have Star Wars in my brain, so like, I don't really want to, you know, it's, I don't really want to make room for another massive mythology. Even though we're talking about Discworld here. Well, we have been going for 2.5 hours now. And I generally like to go that long at the longest when I do these streams. So I'm probably going to wind it down. Also, I'm going to eat dinner with my parents tonight. So, yeah. Um, yeah, I know, Zach. And same thing. I mean, I'm not going to forget. I'm not just going to throw away American Gods anytime soon. The book's too important to me, unfortunately. Um, you know, um, all right. Take care, Derry. It was fun hanging out. Um, I know I need to read Lucifer, but yeah. So I'm probably going to wind it down. Watch out for Friday, because I will be putting out my top 20 favorite books of all time. Very much looking forward to that. So hopefully you guys take care. Thank you for hanging out with me for a little while. Um, and commemorating my first week at being an intern at uh my um local radio station. Yes, that's what I'm doing. My brain is not working right now. Also, Blackadder is really, really good. You guys should read Blackadder. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic show. I have done those. I've done 2 of those. I'll link those to you if you want to watch them. But I have done those. So yeah. Uh, I'll link you those at some point. But anyway, I'll take off now. Thank you everyone for hanging out with me. Until next time, take care, everyone. Bye bye.